Dan the Wheelman here, and my very extra special guest today is this. This is the 2025 Mini Cooper S 5-door. Very cool looking thing. Got the black roof, red paint, love that. I've got the 18-inch wheels that are two colors. HID headlights, got the stripes on the hood, blacked out grille, and also on the grille, there's this little John Cooper Works badge here. Now that one's a little bit interesting. We've heard of JCW before, but maybe not quite like this. So what do they mean then, those JCW, John Cooper Works badges on the grille, steering wheel here, elsewhere? Well, typically in a Mini, that's like a JCW performance model. The Mini Cooper 3-door, for example, you go to a JCW, you get over 300 horsepower, some other ads as well. Here, though, it's a bit deceptive because this isn't really an official JCW model. Think of Mini's parent company, BMW. Think of their M division, M3, M4, X5, M, SUV, and so on. And then think of their M performance division that they have as well. Those are kind of like performance light models. Instead of the X5M, you have the X5 M50i. Instead of the M4, you have the 4 Series M40i, and so on and so forth. They're lightweight conversions. That's kind of what we're looking at here. For your about $4,000 or so, you get adaptive suspension, you get better brakes, you get the paddle shift transmission. It's a 7-speed dual clutch here, just as it is in the standard Mini Cooper S 5-door, but here you get the manual mode with paddle shifters. You don't get that in the other car. So the Mini Cooper 3-door, it gets a JCW model. The Countryman gets a JCW model. Even the Countryman SE, the electrified one, it gets one as well, as does the Mini Cooper convertible. The Mini Cooper S 5-door does not. So it's a little bit kind of awkward in that way. And what do you get for your 5 doors? Well, you get the extra doors. You get a little, it's $1,000 extra to get a 5-door over a 3-door when similarly equipped. This thing starts at about 45 grand in Canada. So $1,000 off, that's not a big deal. It's not, but it doesn't really get you a huge amount. There's a little more room in the back when it comes to headroom and legroom. There's 200 liters more cargo space when you fold the 60-40 split folding rear seats. There's no 40-20-40 split here. There's no pass-through middle, which is too bad. But that's really about it. Otherwise, it's kind of a standard Mini Cooper. Although it is a little bit weird how they kind of hide these JCW Editions cars on the website. To find them, you've got to first click on the JCW section, then you got to scroll down, and you got to find JCW Edition, which is kind of like a weird sub-menu. This car gets it. The Countryman SE also gets a JCW Edition model, but that one also gets a standard JCW, like the full bore, full fat JCW, as does the 3-door and the convertible. And it's nice that this car has those wheels because it really helps ground it. It's got a longer wheelbase than the standard one. Looks kind of awkward. It looks a little bit like a gawky teenager, which kind of fits the MO of the Cooper 5-door in general. You've got like the kind of spunky, fun-loving younger sibling in the 3-door and the convertible. And you've got like the responsible older sibling, which is the Countryman, which is the biggest selling Mini in North America and probably the world. And then there's the 5-door kind of awkwardly in the middle there. It's a Mini in the middle, as it were, and it kind of seems that way when you look at it, and kind of the styling when you think of its MO. So it is a bit kind of a strangely placed thing, but you still get a lot of the stuff that makes Minis cool in general. I mean, they're this boxy shape as they've always been since 1959, and that boxy shape is what let them have so much room inside for such a small footprint, as did the transverse mounted 4-cylinder engine, front wheel drive, and so on. So you get the boxy shape here. There's a surprising amount of room in here for me. I'm not knocking the wheelman hat on the sunroof. Even if I close the sunroof shield, I'm still not knocking on there. That's pretty good. Legroom's okay here as well. In the back, as you'll see, for adults, I wouldn't recommend it. The back seat really is kind of like a third row in a mid-size crossover. It's really for when you need it for the kids in a pinch back there. You don't want to put adults back there for too long. Speaking of my kids, though, they love this thing. Of all the vehicles I bring home in this job, all the press cars I have, the really cool stuff, the high-end German stuff, sports cars, Jeeps, all that, this is the one they've been bugging me the most to take a ride in because it looks so cool. It looks like a fun little toy, and it's got the bright red paint, which they love as well, and they can't wait to go for a ride in this. And that's always what Mini's been about, both inside and out. Inside, you've got the central display here, big round central display, which makes sense because Mini Cooper have always been known for the central gauge that they have, and that's the only display. Well, there's a heads-up display as well, but there's no gauge cluster here at all. No gauge cluster of any kind. Your speedometer is on your heads-up display, which flips up out of the dash in kind of a cool way as well. So it's kind of funky in here as well. Engine start-stop button is actually a twist toggle, so you're actually kind of turning a key, but you're not. That's pretty cool. The central storage bin, it looks like a little kind of box. It looks removable. It's not removable, but it looks like it is. I think it's optional, but it's got this cool little tab you can pull to flip it open, perfectly sized for a sunglasses case in there. And then you've got like other cool kind of interior details, like the red inserts and the cloth dash here. There's these weird kind of straps that you get on the dash and the steering wheel, round steering wheel, but the buttons here are real buttons on the wheel. They're not haptic, which I do appreciate. That's awesome. And you get also some standard buttons down here for your defrost, rear defrost, front defrost, hazards, all that kind of stuff too. I like that. But of course, with all those cool quirks come the stuff that Mini lately has kind of annoyed me a little bit as well. The central display is big, round, and there's a lot of dead space here because you're not going to shape buttons in your Apple CarPlay, which is wireless, by the way, kind of cool. And there's wireless charging down here too, which is done with this, like, it's a vertical pad and there's an elastic strap to pin your phone against the pad. That's pretty cool. You don't waste a cup holder with a phone that way, and we'll talk about those cup holders more in just a moment. Other little things too, like the temp control looks like it's on a slider here, and it kind of is. You first got to hit it, then you slide it. Extra button press. Extra button presses are kind of the word of the day here, which is kind of the phrase of the day anyway, which is a little bit annoying because the buttons are kind of small. To turn auto start stop off, for example, you have to hit like 4 different buttons to do that. Now, in Europe, CO2 emissions are a big deal. So having an auto start stop on, it reduces your emissions and it improves your fuel economy as well. So Mini, it's a European company, they don't want people turning off the auto start stop. You can just put a single button for that right here. A lot of cars have that, one button press, you're good to go. Here, you got to go through menus to do that. And I think it's because they don't want you doing it. That's just a kind of a guess on my part, but I kind of feel it. Anyway, so there's that. Also, there's these cup holders I mentioned before. They're too small for like a big gulp, but they're too big for like a regular size Coke bottle. They're super loose in here. I don't really understand why they've done that. And also, the auto lock happens too quickly. When you walk away from the car like half a step, it locks itself. So if you're moving about the car, it's constantly locking and unlocking. I think I can modify that through here. I'm almost sure I can, so I'll fix that afterwards. The volume always reverts to what it was, to some baked-in preset. So every time I get in this vehicle, I have to turn it up, which is annoying and don't understand why. Maybe there's a setting for that too. Tell me in the comments if there is, and I'm just an idiot. And the last thing I find kind of weird and kind of funny, I'm not really sure what, is the key fob. Right here, I've got key fobs for both the Mini and the Escalade IQ I'm testing this week. There's the Mini's key fob. Look at the size of that thing, in relation to my finger, for example. Here is the Escalade's. It's way smaller. Look at the size of this. And it's huge in your pocket. I don't really get that. It's kind of weird looking, but anyway. So there are some quirks that I don't love as much in here, but for the most part, it's a pretty cool cockpit, and up front anyway, it's quite spacious. Okay, so we're gonna activate go-kart mode here. Gonna get the paddles involved. We're on a bit of a windy road now. As fun as the Mini Cooper 5-door, just like any other Mini is in the city, and how weaving through traffic is a joy and kind of novel, it still wants to be fun in the turns, right? I mean, this is still, it's got the word JCW on it. There's still a performance element there, and it's fun through these bends. Yeah, you don't have the power that the 3-door JCW I drove a few weeks back has, but 200 horsepower, a vehicle that only weighs whatever this weighs. I'll put the number on the screen here in just a second. With the torque and with this quick shifting 7-speed dual clutch, you get some good movement through the gears as well. 7 gears is a good number. It's not too many, not too short. The ratios are a good length each one, and you're not always hunting for gears, which I appreciate. And there's a nice readout right at the top of the display here in go-kart mode that shows you what gear you're in. It's not on the heads-up display, which is kind of disappointing, but that's okay. So I'm ticking along here, 5th gear. Most of these corners are 3rd gear corners, 3rd and 4th, and it's fun through here. The slightly longer wheelbase means a slightly less bouncy ride, and I don't think the suspension is quite as firm even though I've got the adaptive suspension in here as it is in the actual JCW car. I could be wrong about that, but the setting height are a little softer. So you're not bouncing quite as much as you are in that one. It's a little more tractable as the bumps start to repeat themselves and you get some concrete ease and so on. But it's fun. That's the bottom line. It's still very fun through here. I don't feel like I'm dragging 2 extra doors along with me. Even when I look through the rear view mirror, it's hard to tell that there's any more space back there because there isn't that much more space back there, if we're honest, we talked about before. But it's still a lot of fun through here, and it brings you back to why the Mini's so fun. You sit nice and low, so things feel a lot faster than they are. It's got the super agile front end, very responsive. There's some nice throw to the paddle shifters. You can hit boost mode if you want. Gives you a kind of a little bit of an oomph for 10 seconds as it counts down on the display there, which is kind of neat. So it's just it's a very involved vehicle. I miss a manual transmission, of course. If I were to ever own a Mini, and I'd actually like to one day, it would have a stick shift in it, very sure about that, which means I'd have to go back a few years, but that's okay. But other than that, it's a lot of fun, this car. You love the rain noise. I can't control the weather much as I can control this little-ish, not as little as others, Mini Cooper S 5-door. Remember, there's no more Clubman. Remember that little station wagon one that's got kind of the barn door style rear end? That doesn't exist anymore. So if you want a little more haulability, a slightly more station wagon-like Mini, the 5-door is your choice now. That's the way you gotta go. Yeah, it doesn't move the needle so much from the 3-door, but I think a lot of people like having a 5-door car. They like having those rear doors. Just as with the Clubman, you have the extra door at the back there, the suicide style door. They like having that. It's a peace of mind thing, and I think they like that as a result. And the styling's a little bit gawky for sure, especially if you have the smaller wheels, but those extra doors, to a lot of people, those mean something. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to this quick look at the 2025 Mini Cooper 5-door S JCW edition. Long name, slightly longer wheelbase. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. If not, no hard feelings, of course. You can follow me on Instagram at Dan the Wheelman, on Blue Sky at Dan the Wheelman, and of course, keep it locked to the Dan the Wheelman YouTube channel. Always fun new stuff going up here, there, and everywhere. So thanks again for tuning in, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is Dan the Wheelman signing off from the middlest of the minis.